Good morning, and welcome to Mobility Magic on a Monday. It is the first session of the week for your Good Life Fitness at home online sessions, and we're starting with mobility with myself, Simon Page, of the personal training team, and we are working today on some glutes and low back, as promised to a couple of people that asked for it, so that's what we're doing, a little bit of glutes and low back, and hopefully getting you into your week with a little bit of mobility magic. So hello to everyone that's joining us, nice to see you all. Thanks so much for checking in. Morning to you too. And if you have any feedback, comments, anything you'd like to pass on, anything for us to focus on for the next few sessions, then please do leave it in the comments after the session, as we can't see the comments that get posted during the session because we turn the comments off and we don't get a chance to review them. So just going to turn the comments off now. As I say, if you want to post some feedback, some comments, if you'd like to pass on anything, then please leave feedback in the video that we repost after the session. So for today's session, you will need a chair. I have a black chair on a black floor, so if you can't quite see it, turn your brightness up on your phone. I also have a foam roller as well. So those are the two things that you will need today, and we are starting off with the chair. So what I would like you to do is set your chair up. We're going to take a seat for the first section of the exercises. So we are going to start with a little bit of a twist. So facing forward, I've taken the side on position so you can see, but you can obviously face the camera to make it easier for you. And we're going to start by placing our hand on the inside of our leg and just turning our body slightly for leverage. And we're just focusing on a little bit of a twist in the torso. So my guidance with this one is take a nice deep breath in. And as you breathe out, that's when you're going to turn your body. So we're trying to keep this nice tall pillow posture, heads up to the ceiling. And as we breathe out, we're just turning our body so that we're getting a rotation, a little bit of a twist through the low back, but we're not trying to force it. We just want to go where our breath allows us to go. So take a nice deep breath in. Rotating by pushing into that leg with this right arm. Take a nice deep breath in. And twisting again. I should start to feel a little bit of a stretch in the low back. At this point, you have one of two options. You can either carry on, take a nice deep breath in, breathe out, or you can add a little bit of a lean over the top. So if you stretch your arm up to the ceiling and you keep both of your butt cheeks planted on the chair and you lean your body weight to the opposite side, you should start to feel a stretch in that low back area, which is going to be a nice kind of relief for that QL, the area that kind of gets bound up and tight. So leaning to the side, and then you can start to wave forward a little bit, diagonally, and across. And we're just keeping that tension of that twist by using this arm as leverage. Okay, so I'm pushing in, I'm leaning across, I'm stretching, up to the ceiling as high as I can get as I shift that weight. And then I'm just going to drift forward. So you should get a really nice deep stretch through the side of that back. You can apply this to any sitting scenario that you're in. So we're going to do the opposite, do the same side, the left hand side now. So we're going to push our hand into that leg for anchor, so my left arm into left leg. If you're doing the right side, you can do right leg. We're going to turn our body, so now I'm facing away from you. And I'm going to push into my leg, so take a nice deep breath in. I'm just turning my body, getting a little stretch on the side. Getting a little stretch, deep breath in. And now now that I'm on full stretch, I'm just gonna raise my arm up. Stretch over the top. I can wave forward, come back round, some stretching up. Leaning all the way across, keeping both my butt cheeks planted on the chair, and then coming around. So you can do that 3 or 4 times. We're looking to get our arm as high as we can before we bring it across. Just for extending that line through the body. And we're getting that lateral stretch. We're also getting a little bit of that low back, that QL area that gets really, really tight. So again, we're just gonna stretch up, making sure we have tension. Leaning right across, and the further you can go, the better. And then we're kind of coming forward, and we're just going to come around so we don't recoil that stretch those muscles back. So we're stretching up, stretching over, and coming forward. Okay, so that would be stretch number one. This is that low back rotational and stretch over the top. Second stretch we're going to do is a seated kind of pigeon E type stretch. There's a couple ways to do this. For some people this would be level one. So I'm working on my right hand side this time. So my right hand side is going to be on stretch. We're going to do two moves in this position. So the first one's going to be a bit of a hip opener where we just kind of open up the front of the hip. The second part is going to be to ease into a glute stretch. So the first part here, we're going to push the knee down. So we're going to use this left leg as a leverage point. So this is where the fulcrum is going to be. We're pushing down on this knee, and we're just leaning back into the chest. The idea is I'm trying to get my chest as far away as possible this time from my knee. And I can also leverage my lower leg on my left side by lifting my foot up to help kind of create a bit of torsion and kind of help open up the front of this hip area. So in this L shape that I'm in right now, this triangle even, I'm trying to get this front of the hip to open up a little bit. So this can just be enough where we lift up, but again I'm pushing away with my right hand, lifting up with my left leg. So this is just going to help open up, tease out. Sometimes you can get a little bit more if you lean back, but once you get a little bit of a stretch in that area, that's fine. Let's move on to our pigeon stretch. So ease off the tension, bring the leg down, bring the same leg back up again. We're going to go into a bit of a pigeon stretch. So this one you're going to gauge yourself. There's a few ways to do this, but all we're going to do is just rock forward slightly. Just find the point that works best for you. You'll feel the stretch suddenly come on underneath your leg. And for those that are slightly more flexible than me, you'll probably be able to go a little bit further with this one. But you want to slowly kind of work your way around from center, or even the outside of this foot, and then kind of come back and then circle out. So we're kind of doing a rotation forward. We're going to kind of come forward towards the leg, going to come around, and then we're going to come back. So you're tracing towards the knee with your chest. We're trying to come to the middle of the shin, and then we're coming to the foot. So let's come forward, leaning forward, feeling that light stretch, coming around, and then working your way around on the out breath. So you're going to take a nice deep breath in, falling forward, rocking to the middle, to the outside, and then we're rocking back. Let's just do that one more time. So the intention here is we come across our knee with our chest, then come to the middle, take a nice deep breath in around the foot, and then we come back nice and tall, and we're finished on this leg. So again, start with the hip opener, trying to get the hip on the front open up. We're then going to switch to a pigeon position. So nice and tall with your seated position on this one. We're using our hands to put a little bit of pressure downwards to open the front of this hip, so this area, and we're using our foot as leverage as well. And I've covered this before in other sessions, but it's a really great way of just opening up that hip. So chest nice and tall, pushing down with my knee. I can lift with my foot for a little bit of leverage to try and help open up this hip on the left hand side. And now I'm starting to feel it open up just a little bit. You can also move your hand down the thigh a little bit more towards your hip to add a little bit of pressure to the tissue around the area if you need to. And once you find it easing off, probably around a minute, that can be good. So let's start with our pigeon pose on this leg. It'll probably be a little bit clearer from this angle, but we're starting with our chest falling over our knee. So we're going to stabilize ourselves by having a nice tall chest. We can apply pressure to the outside of the foot if you need to, and we're going to fall towards that knee. This side's a little bit tight to me, so I'm going to hold on to the chair to stabilize. So I'm coming forward, breathing in, breathing out to find the range, coming to the center, going to take another breath in, falling forward into that range as far as my body allows me, fanning out to the foot, take a nice deep breath in, falling forward, and then back round again. You can do that 3 times, 4 times, whatever you need, but again, make sure you take your time and use that breath. So we're taking a nice deep breath in, falling forward, Another option you can do is you can apply a little bit of PNF in this position, so take a nice deep breath in. Come forward. Push my hand down as I push my knee up. That should allow me to get a little bit more range. So you can apply that to all positions. So we're breathing in, we're falling forward, but then pushing up to activate the muscles, a little bit of autonomic inhibition there, and then we fall forward into that leg. So let's come down to the floor. So we've done a hip twist, a hip opener, low back opener. We've done a hip opener on the front with a triangle position. We've done a seated glute or modified pigeon in the seated position. So there's 3 stretches that really, really work well if you're in the office, if you sat down. Let's come down to the floor. We'll grab our foam roller. So if you want to grab that too, we're going to start by focusing straight on top of the glute. This can be really uncomfortable for some. So if you would like to skip over this and you're watching the replay, probably take a couple of minutes to go through this. So first thing we're going to do is foam roller on the floor. We're going to take a couple of different positions here, or we're going to have a couple of options, I should say. So we can either have our foot out, our leg out straight, and we just turn slightly to the side to really focus on hitting any tightnesses in the glute, med and min. And this is going to be a lot more lateral, and you can even turn right over towards the TFL, so that's the muscle that kind of controls the IT band if you need to. But otherwise, we're just going to sink our weight straight down, try and keep a nice tall position if you can, but if you need to lean back, that's also okay. So we're just going to hang out here, and we can also lift our leg up as well if we need to, but we're going to try and keep our weight over the top of where that foam roller is. Okay, so this would be like your level 1, this would be a level 1 stretch. Second option, if you want to go a little bit more intense, is we can cross this leg over. That's just going to open it up a little bit more, put that glute on stretch a little bit, and also allow us to hit that min and max. So the glute max, glute min, and then a little bit of glute med as well, which again is a little bit more lateral. So working up, you can also hit the piriformis. So we're just working up towards that hip. We should roll back slightly, and we're going to make sure that our chest is nice and tall. Coming forward, and then just rocking backwards and forwards. So that's a couple of different levels that you can work out there. Now, if you find that there's a particularly kind of tough and sore spot, so you get like a trigger point activation, then what you can do is you can just sink your weight into that spot, really just hang out for about a minute or so, just until it kind of dies off. If you get any light nerviness in this area, it's probably best just to kind of lay off this, the pressure, because again, you could be compressing that sciatic nerve maybe within the piriformis. So let's just turn around so you can see from the front this time. I'm going to do my right leg. So now I'm stretching the right, I'm putting pressure on foam rolling that right glute, and I'm just turning my body slightly. I'm just coming backwards and forwards. I'm just hitting the glute all the way through. And now I'm putting a little bit of downward pressure because I'm leaning my body weight right over the top of where my pressure into the foam roller is. So I can hang out there, I can take some breaths, I can just kind of feel it relax. Sometimes that's just the best option. And then what we can do is we can then combine it with a crossover of the leg, and we can either roll a little bit here, or we can just hang out in that same position. So we're just going to take some nice deep breaths. We can make sure our chest is nice and tall if we can, and we're rolling as far down, as far up as we feel comfortable. Okay, and again, you can modify this by turning in and out, because that will help you be more medial or lateral, depending on which direction you turn. And this can also help hit some of that musculature on the outside of the leg as well. All right, so let's lose the foam roller. If you need to review this, obviously you can check it out on the replay video. But for now, we're just going to come into a couple more glute stretches. So another one we can do is we can do the same stretches that we did on the chair, actually on the floor. So if the chair wasn't an option for you and the floor is, or vice versa, pick one that works best for you. But within this position, we can still do a hip opener. So we can lean back from this position whilst we push down with our leg to get a little bit of leverage. And we can find even coming all the way down and back can help stretch up the hip. We can even leverage lifting that leg up, or we can lift our knee up as well. But here works really fantastically well to get into another glute stretch. So hip opener first, as I said, down here, pushing our knee down to the floor. We're then going to transition up by laying back on the floor, and I can pull through to get a bit of a glute stretch and a piriformis stretch. So this pull through here with my hands on the leg that I'm using to create the stretch. So from this position you can hold it, you can then turn your body ever so slightly. So just turning my body will create a little bit more of a stretch, and I can then turn my body towards the camera. So I'm stretching and bring my foot down to the floor, and I can turn to create a little bit of a twist in my low back. So we've transitioned from a hip opener. So it's kind of, we've done all the stretch we did on the chair, but in reverse there. And we've kind of done it all in one. So we've done a hip opener, we've done a glute stretch, and now we're into that low back twist. So now we're in this kind of pretzel twisty position. We're gonna push our left elbow into the floor, and we're gonna turn towards the right. So in review very quickly, for those that have not been following or want to review, we've done a hip opener by pushing down into the floor. We've crossed our our foot over our knee on the left side. We've lifted the leg up to get that glute stretch. And now all we've done is we've pulled the foot down to the floor, and we're twisting across our body. So a few options. You can either use the floor as leverage or the leg, and we're just stretching this low back area. I'm going to move with the breath. So take a nice deep breath in. Deep breath in. If you need to transition to the floor for more leverage, feel free to. And then come on back up to center. Now, you can also bring that leg up. So you come from this laying position, bring that same leg up, and bring it slightly across your body, just rotating slightly. That also works for a little bit of a glute stretch, and it allows you to come down. Once you finish the stretch, you can come round, bring it back up to the start, and then turn your body towards the side you want to stretch, or opposite side. Bring that leg around to ease into that stretch. It feels really good on the hip. So let's go through that same series on the left hand side as well, so we've got equal stretch. So I'm going to face the front this time so you can kind of see. So I'm crossing my leg over. I've got a little bit of leverage with my leg. So if you notice on this side, I've got a little less range. So I'm going to want to have a little leverage as I bring this knee down. So I'm just creating a kind of a hip opener. I can even apply some downward pressure if I need to, just pushing down, but I'm always keeping this nice tall position. So I'm pushing down. I can then bring my leg up for a little more leverage, and I can even lean forward if I'm looking for a glute stretch, or I can lean back if I want a hip opener on the front. So if you're clogged up on the front of the hip here, it can be good to kind of lean as far away from the hip as possible to help open it up. Now, if we were to transition into this kind of glute stretch that we were in, I'm going to lean back on the floor. I'm going to put my feet through, my foot up, or lift my hip up towards my chest. So I'm pulling back. If you can see my hands right here, I'm pulling back towards my chest. It's going to create a little bit of a stretch across that glute. Now, once you've kind of done a few minutes of that, or about 20 seconds, we can then transition to the side. So let's just do one stretch together in this position. Take a nice deep breath in. I can then pull my knee to my chest to create more of a stretch. And again, and I'm feeling it all the way down this leg into the glute, and I can bring my leg down and I can transition into a twist. So from this side you can really see, but I'm turning it away from that leg, and I'm creating a stretch across this low back on this one side, this low back, and I'm creating this nice lengthened position. So should still have a stretch that goes into the side of the leg, into the hip, and maybe into the TFL and that IT band. But we're also stretching that low back. So I'm turning away. I can either use my arm for leverage to push off and to create this low back stretch, or I can stretch by using the ground on this side by pushing my elbow in. Nice deep breath. As you breathe out, just turning. And once you've turned, taken 3 or 4 breaths, you can come back to center, and we can transition to more of a seated, twisted position. So we can bring our leg across, nice and tall. We can hug the leg and bring ourselves forward. So this is going to work more on that glute med. And we're just going to roll. So what I want you to do is we're going to start by turning away for a little bit more of a low back stretch. And we're going to lean forward. We're going to come to where that knee is. And when you get to that knee, we're just going to pull it towards us. So I've just crossed my leg over the midline. I'm going to pull that knee towards me. And if you feel any tenderness, any pinching on the front side of the hip, this could be one just to skip over for now. It's a little bit hard to deal with live, but I know that some people do experience that. So we're just going to reach our chest nice and tall. We're going to come forward, bring our forehead to our knee, and we're just going to come back. So nice deep breath in. And we're just coming back. Deep breath in. And we're just coming back. Now we're going to turn a little bit away. So now we're back into another variation on our side kind of twisting stretch. You can have your hand arm, on the outside of the knee. So I'm using my right leg across my left leg. I'm going to use my right arm and I'm going to place my left hand down with a nice tall chest. I'm just turning. Nice tall chest. And relax. Now we're going to go the opposite way. So my right leg is straight. I bring my left leg across the midline. I'm going to start by hugging that leg together. A bit of a glute stretch. The higher up this leg is and this foot is planted, the more stretch you'll get. So we're just pulling that leg towards us. I can come down. I can come across a little bit further if I need to. If I feel like my it's a little bit caught more laterally, I can reach a little more to the side. Coming around. I can then stabilize if I need to, or if I need to this side. And then I can circle back around. So this kind of circular motion is just going to help your body from kind of recoiling into that stretch. So you've got that nice deep fall forward and around and back to the start. So nice deep breath in. Coming forward, I'm still pulling that leg towards me. And getting that nice low back twist. So a couple of things we can do here. We can also add in that stretch wave that we've done before. So we can either go into a pigeon type pose. This is our modified kind of stretch to wind pigeon, where we bring our leg forward. You might even feel that your hips are kind of opened up a little bit more now. And this could be even more easy for you to do if you've tried this before and it hasn't really worked for you. But we're in a less than 90-90 position. We're going to have both hands. Now if you tuned to last week's session, we already kind of covered this, but worth going over again because now you might feel a difference. And this time we can add some PNFs or some positional isometrics into the stretch. So nice deep breath in. We're going to reach across that knee with our head. Reach back up nice and tall. Then we're going to turn our body. So now our chest wants to line up kind of partway over the leg. We're actually turning, normally we turn away, we're actually turning back towards this time because we're trying to get our glute max to kind of stretch a little bit too. So normally we'd be using our low back to stretch, but this time we're turning in towards the middle of the leg. So either side of the leg, I'm going to reach up. And rock back. Going to push our weight towards our foot. Going to reach up. So we're using this stretch wave. Deep breath in. And back up. Let's turn again. Now we're over the knee. Rolling our chin up our chest. We're turning again. Now we're over the top of our knee. And then stretch away, keeping that foot planted is going to traction our back out really nicely. as we come down. And then we can also reach across, up and over, get that nice low back stretch all the way through. And we can come back to the start. So hopefully the lighting changes now, there we go. And you can be able to see me a little bit better. So a modified kind of 90-90 stretch with a little bit of a pigeon and some dynamic kind of 90-90 components. But we are targeting to have our chest over the middle of our leg first, then towards our foot, and then back towards our knee, and then we're going to work through our stretch weights on the side. So if you haven't been following, again, we're into glutes today, but we are stretching forward. Take a nice deep breath in, head is up to the ceiling, we roll forward, back up the chest, rolling forward, back up, forward, back up. Just going to shuffle back a little bit, and we're coming down to the middle. And this side's a little bit tight for me to get to my leg, so we're just going to modify it slightly. And we're coming around. So again, start over the knee, we're coming to the middle of the leg, we're coming to the outside of the foot. We're trying to get a little bit of a stretch across all the glutes and into the top of the hamstring as well on this one. We're now going to come over the top of the leg, so just support yourself either side of the knee, coming up nice and tall. Forward. Going to turn our body slightly. Our intention isn't the low back, but if you get a nice low back and hip stretch, that's fine. And now we're just going to reach up and over. So we're just going to turn in, reaching up and over. Give it a second. Reaching up and over and back. And we're just trying to get that hip and low back to just kind of desensitize and come unstuck. So the last thing we want to do here is we just want to reset our hips. So we've done a lot of traction on the glutes, we've done a little bit of a back work, just want to stabilize, and you can do that in a couple of ways. So the first thing we're going to do is take a few nice deep breaths on our back, pushing our back into the floor. Try and expand ourselves across the floor by pushing into it. So our knees are bent, we're in a nice comfortable position. Nice deep breaths in and out. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to stabilize by pushing our knee upwards towards us and our hands down into our knee. And with the opposite leg, we're pushing down to the floor, just to create a little bit of torsion. And then we're just going to change sides. What you should find is it creates a little bit of torsion across the hips, just helps to balance them both out. And then the last thing you can do is you can either grab a foam roller and put it in between your knees and squeeze, or you can use two fists, which also works well. You just can put them together, bring your knees up, you know, squeeze as hard as you can in the middle. You might feel a slight pop, you might feel your hips going to move a little bit. That's okay, that's what we want. We want to create a little bit of separation, and we want to kind of help ease that tension and the PSIS. So that is your session for the day. If you wish to review any components, then we're going to repost the video in a minute for you. It should take about 10 minutes or so to get up on the site, and then you can review it from there. This is a glutes and lower back session. So glute and low back session. If you wish to, or for us to cover off anything else, if you have any ideas, anything you would like to cover, or us to cover for you, then please leave a comment in the video to post afterwards. Otherwise, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoy teaching you guys every week. So thanks so much, and I will see you next Monday for a mobility magic session. And ciao for now.